Hello, dear friends. I'd like to read to you the rest of my essay on how stories save us, with special gratitude toward everyone who left a message that it was meaningful to them. So I'm going to go back just one paragraph. Hopeful stories provide an antidote to fear-driven stories. We find allies in unexpected places. Who would have thought that scruffy old Strider would turn out to be Aragorn? Not me, not the very first time I read Lord of the Rings. They remind us that even in times when all seems bleak, the tide can and does turn. Spring follows winter's desolation. We too can be saved. Or more to the point, we too are capable of setting aside those fears and reaching out to those in need. I have a treasure trove of stories I come back to again and again. They rekindle hope in me, but also, when I tell them, they create a bridge of empathy, even with people who appear to be on the other side of arguments. One story I heard in an interfaith workshop from a Catholic woman who had worked with the Compassionate Listening Project in the Middle East. She said that she and her colleagues listened to people from different sides of the conflict there, and that as the speakers made their points and felt their experiences valued, their stances softened. Each side became more willing to look at mutually beneficial solutions and to acknowledge the suffering and aspirations of the others. So stories of hope and positive change affect not only the storytellers, but the listeners. A recent blog post on the website of the American Friends Service Committee put it this way. And I just lost, there we go. Okay. Fortunately, research also shows that messages framed in terms of hope, especially when coupled with messages that include positive feedback, can counter fear-mongering effectively. Hope-based messages can also help people change their minds about key issues. Why? Because when people have made up their minds about an issue, they are prone to only hear facts that support their position, especially if they are already stressed and the facts they hear are framed in terms of fear. But when people hear messages framed in terms of hope and positive feedback, they are able to digest new information in ways that can ultimately lead to a shift in perspective. As we move through troubled times, let's do our best to create and tell and retell as many times as necessary those stories. And I should add, on a personal note, that I am a murder survivor. My mother was murdered about 38 years ago, and the man who did it came out for parole a number of times. And my tradition was to watch the entire director's cut of Peter Jackson's films of The Lord of the Rings after each hearing. And that story, going with Frodo and Sam and everybody else into Mordor and coming back out again, that saved me over and over again. And I think we need stories like that, whatever type of story they are, that's meaningful for us, to help get us through these times, and to retell them and to share that hope, because you never know when a story that's meaningful to you may be exactly what somebody else needs to hear. Blessings on you, friend, and stay safe.